So now let's talk about PIP. One of the important things to understand about Python as a programming language is basically almost any piece of functionality that you want to add to your script, you are going to have to import a module, right? Even as something as simple as a random integer, you have to import the random module so that you can get to the randint function. When you install Python, you're going to have a number of core modules that already come with Python, but in order to get additional functionality, you will have to install packages into your Python environment. So if you want to communicate with OpenAI for AI type services, if you want to be able to pull information from websites using the request module, those types of packages will actually have to be installed into your environment so that you get access to them, and that's where PIP comes to play. So Python has a repository system much like Linux does, right? So if you want to install Apache into your Linux server, you do sudo apt install Apache 2, that will go out to the repository, get the information, pull the files into your system, and install it. Python basically has the same concept, and that's where PIP comes in. So PIP is essentially the software that goes out to the repository, this is pypy.org, and then downloads the packages from this repository. So this repository has, I don't know, what is it, 600,000 projects, 6.5 million releases, 13 million files, blase, blase, blase. But basically, this is where all the modules, or most of the modules that you'll ever need, essentially are stored, and so you'll be able to get access to it. If you're ever looking, trying to figure out a new module that you might want to use basically in your project, you can come here, you can actually search projects, and here, like I can type in Bottle, so Bottle is a framework we use a lot, and then it will give us all of these different basically packages in relation to Bottle. So I can click on this, and this will explain Bottle to me. It'll tell me what the home page is and the whole 9 yards. So this will give me the basic information about Bottle, what the current version is, and then if you notice up here it says pip install Bottle, and this is how you would install Bottle into your environment. It actually gives you the command using pip. Now when you're using PIP, you may use the command either pip, PIP, or PIP3. Again, Python had two main versions that have been around for a while. You had Python 2 and Python 3. For a while, PIP related to Python 2 and PIP3 related to Python 3. Now depending on your particular environment, that may be the case, or PIP might be able to work for version 3 for you. It's one of those things you're going to have to play around with. The first thing that you do need to figure out though is whether or not it's actually installed on your system. So just like you may have to install Python into your system in order to make it work, you might actually have to install pip, and you might want to know what the version is, right? So I can simply type in pip, so pip space hyphen version. I hit enter, and we can see I'm now using PIP 24.1.1, and this is where it is located. So I know PIP is installed on my machine. I can also do PIP 3, since I'm using a Mac machine, and again, it will give me the same version, so I know that PIP is installed, and if I don't get this back with either PIP or PIP 3, I'll know I'll have to install it. So if PIP isn't installed on your system, it's easiest to install if you're using Ubuntu, if you're using Linux. Sudo apt install python 3-pip, and that will install PIP for you, easy peasy. If you're using Windows or the Mac OS, when you go through the Python installer, there may be a checkbox for installing PIP. For some reason, it's an option. It shouldn't be an option, but it might be an option there. Make sure you check off the checkbox and go through the program. So you might have to do redo the install and do like a modification in order to get it to work, or you may have to just, it might be the easiest thing just to simply uninstall Python from your system and reinstall it. Make sure you check off that checkbox to make sure it does what it's supposed to. If you're using Homebrew, you should be able to do the brew install python 3-pip in order to be able to install the pip, but that may or may not work. So this is one of those times when you might have to do a wee bit of troubleshooting, but it shouldn't be too horribly difficult, I hope. Now, once you can do pip or pip3 hyphen hyphen version, and you actually get a version number, then you can start installing packages. Now, a lot of times you'll see the way to install packages is pip install and whatever the package name is. So I showed you with bottle, showed you up here on the left-hand side. It showed you pip install and the package name, so pip install bottle. That's a normal way that most people do it. One of the weird things that you get into in the Python world, though, is you can actually have multiple Python environments set up in your system, and so sometimes things can get installed into the wrong location. So here for Silicon Dojo, we do Python 3 --m pip install package name, because this is supposed to be the best way to make sure that your packages get installed into the right location. To be clear, I've never actually had a problem installing packages this way. So you can do this because this is a lot less typing than the other thing up here. But again, dealing with so many people in so many different environments, I don't know what you're dealing with. Basically, this way right here is supposed to do it in a way that is least likely to cause problems for you going forward. It puts everything into the right environment, and so you should be good. Basically, what this says here is run Python 3. We're going to run a module. That module is pip. We're then going to put in the install package name, and so basically make sure everything is in the proper environment. So that's why there's a difference between these two commands. Again, you can use this. We use this just to try to make sure we have as few problems for students as possible. Now, once you've started installing things with pip, you can use the pip list command to see what packages are installed on your system. So you can do pip, and we can simply do list. We hit enter, and now this shows us all the different packages, and it also shows us the versions of the current packages. So if we're having problems or something, we can know what's going on. So beautiful soup, this is a way in order to parse websites. So if I'm trying to run something that requires beautiful soup, for some reason it's not working properly, you can do this pip list. It'll show you everything here. It will show you the version number, so you know what's on this system. Now, one of the issues that you're going to run into as a real technology professional is you're going to walk in behind somebody. Somebody has built some beautiful app that your company requires. You need to make some modifications on it. You're going to come in. You're going to try to figure out what's going on with the environment. So you're going to do pip list. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see a lot of names for packages that you simply have never heard of before. And you're going to be like, what the hell am I looking at? And so one of the nice utilities that pip has is the show command. So you can do pip show, and then you can plug in one of the package's names that you saw. So let's say the requests, right? So the requests is the package that allows us to be able to interact with websites. And let's say I don't know a lot about the request package, so I want to know more about it. So I can hit enter, and now it gives me the information for the request package that's installed within our environment. We see what version it is. It gives us a summary of sorts, Python HTTP for humans, so we know what's going on. It gives us a home page, so if we want to know more information, it actually gives us that information there. It gives us an author. Theoretically, it gives us an author's email address. It tells us what the license is supposed to be. And then one of the cool things down here is it shows you basically what modules a request requires. So what additional modules does this require? And then it's also important is it shows you what it's required by. Right, so that's one of the big things, right? You go into an old system, you want to try to clean it up, get rid of the old garbage, but you're not really sure what's garbage and what's actually needed. So you can pull this up with the different modules to see, is this required by anything else? And obviously, if it is, don't touch it. So that's what the show command does for you. And this is really going to be important when you're walking in behind somebody else that's built out a system. Now finally, there's the uninstall command. So you install a package, you realize you don't need it, you want to get rid of it, simply Python 3 --m pip uninstall whatever the package name is, and that will go through the uninstall process. Again, you can do pip uninstall package name to do the exact same thing if that is working for you, but that's how you get rid of packages. So that's PIP for you. There's not a whole hell of a lot to it. Just make sure it's actually installed in your system. You may require PIP or PIP3 as the command to call it, depending on your particular system. If it's not installed, again, if you're on Linux, you just do sudo apt install to install PIP. If you're on Mac or if you're on Windows, you should be able to use the Python installer to be able to get PIP for you. Again, do the modification and check off on the install PIP. If that doesn't work, you might have to do a wee bit of troubleshooting, but basically once you get PIP installed, it is really easy to use going forward. And again, it's a lot like Linux, where you simply do pip install whatever the package name is. It goes to pipi.org, gets the information, pulls that down to your system, installs it into an environment, and away you go. So pip is just an incredibly simple and incredible valuable tool for you that you're going to be using a lot.